this is what we're going to talk about today. Mainly cosmic plan and the ET Earth history. From last week, we looked at this basic chart on cosmic plan, just beginning to get into this. This is put together from not only the raw material, but my own understanding of the ET phenomenon, UFO contacts of different types, and a 7-dimensional model that includes the principles of evolution, such as free will, polarity, and service, and, the basis of soul evolution being progression through the densities. Let's go through this. The most important thing to understand is the view that there are two paths to evolution. This is the human and ET line, and this is from the basis of universal free will, that Earth is not the only planet of free will. There's a book that says the only planet of free will or free choice by a woman named Phyllis Schlemmer. This is, I believe, a mistaken understanding. In the beginning, earlier portions of the creation, meaning many billions and trillions of years ago, actually, and closer to the center of each galaxy, those were the earlier solar systems, and those were considered the earlier experiments in evolution. There was no veil in third density, which means in the 3D mind, the mind that we use here, there was no natural ignorance of the principles of evolution. Naturally, people understood their unity. They didn't necessarily manifest it completely, but they knew the unity of life. They knew the plan, which was the development of mind, body, spirit. That's the purpose of existence, the development or evolution of mind, body, spirit. And this is the same as people when we die and we go to the inner planes. People naturally understand the game, the big picture. And this is because there's no veil, no shroud or cover in the mind, in the third density non-physical. In higher densities, 4th, 5th, 6th, also there's no veil in mind. And so naturally, souls understand all the mysteries that we're confused by in terms of, does God exist? Why is there pain and suffering for some people? What about positive, negative? What about higher self? What about life lessons and personal plan? These things are just fully understood. So let me go through this. The human extraterrestrial evolutionary line is different than what's called the angelic or Deva line. Deva means shining one. It's a term from Sanskrit, and it's also is sometimes called the gods with a small g, the small gods, which really is the same as 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional souls or extraterrestrials. Extraterrestrial has a lousy reputation. It's not as bad as the word alien, but extraterrestrial sort of equals UFO occupant. But the UFO appearance of higher dimensional souls is just something done for us in third density so we can be aware of them. And we're talking about positive beings. It's not done for control. And it's done with respect for our free will, which is why they don't land on the White House lawn and show themselves openly to all, because it would violate the free will of those who are not ready and don't seek that kind of awareness. But the UFO aspect of cosmic life or ET contact is what's called an expedient means or skillful means. It's just the way it's done here. It's not ultimately necessary. So let me go on. The human kingdom operates under the law of free will. We make choices, and this is the same as eating the fruit from the Garden of Eden. That's a symbol, actually, of early humanity, which in this case is Lemurian, moving into greater self-consciousness and awareness that choice is possible. This, however, is really the heritage of all 3D souls throughout the galaxies, not just this galaxy. In this time, what's called, this latter portion of creation, latter just meaning the current time, the earlier creation didn't have a veil in 3D mind. We can talk about that later. So the Deva kingdom instinctively follows divine law. They see universal plan and they reproduce the design. This includes earth spirits like fairies and sylphs and water gnomes and whatever the human mythology name is. These are angelic beings associated with the plants, with the rocks, with the animals, and the four elements themselves: earth, water, fire, and air. And it's actually said that the human soul represents a kind of collection of fourth-dimensional angelic beings. Higher self is a completely different being or entity, but the human soul is considered a midway point between higher self and our personal 3D conscious self. But that the soul this is again sort of a subtle way of talking metaphysics. The higher self is late 6th density. We now are in 3rd density. The soul can be understood as something in between. That's aware of our multi-incarnations and actively participates. Higher self is a little bit more distant, actually. Higher self is like a master, is like a fully enlightened being, or nearly fully enlightened bodhisattva, 6th density, awareness of unity. And higher self doesn't necessarily take interest in us unless we're ready. Higher self has got a lot going on, and multiple projections of mind, body, spirit, and other dimensions. So, beyond the octave is what we call 8th density. This is a realm, deep in the heart of infinity. The earliest that we see that, or what's closer to us, is 7th density. This is corresponding with 7th chakra, which would be Buddhas and avatars. The first thing I just want you to do is realize that there are many systems of understanding multidimensional life. This is a complete model, in the sense that each dimension has a definition. In theosophy, in Hinduism and Buddhism, there is very clear presentation of higher dimensional qualities and definitions of each one. Please note that in most modern channeling, you're not getting anything like that. And they may or may not speak about what density they're from. And if you ever contact a channel personally, you can ask, what's the dimensional level of the group you're in touch with? And you can say, what's the difference between this level and other levels? In general, a lot of channeling is from 4th density, positive, heavily mixed in with the channel's own personal information from their subconscious, from their reading, from their study. And that's why, number one, a lot of channeling today sounds like other channeling, like, dear ones, greetings from, we're so happy to meet you, you're beloved, we love you, very ebullient and kind of light and lively, like a kind of yogurt, like low-fat milk. And That's because people are reading other channeled works and they're copying. And they don't necessarily present a full system. So when some healer or channel says, my source is from seventh heaven or seventh level, ask them, what's the definition of that level and how does it relate to other levels? And tell me more about cosmic plan and the meaning of each level. They don't know it. And if they don't know it, it's because it's not a complete system, and it may not really be channeling, actually. There's a lot of channeling. You know, the older I get, the more I realize or believe that most channeling is mainly the channel himself or herself saying what they've already read and repackaging it in line with what they think will sell or sounds good, very much moving through their own personal mind, and their personal voice is very clear in it. So anyway, this is a full system. So 6 density, and you know, just take this for your consideration and compare it to others and see what you think. 6 density, and the densities in the chakras are correspondent. So 7th density corresponds to 7th chakra, 6th density to 6th chakra, and so on. 7th chakra is considered intelligent infinity. Ra talks about intelligent infinity and intelligent energy, or infinite energy, being available through 6th chakra, 6th dimensional consciousness, and intelligent infinity being contacted through the bridge of 6 to 7 with a linkage to 7th chakra totality, which is beyond higher self. 6th density is the realm of higher self, bodhisattva, which means servers of creation. And most wanderers actually happen to be 6th density beings. Unity, perfection. The phrase Ra uses for higher self is complete and whole and perfect. And this is who we are. This is our essential perfection. And it's important to be aware of both our, what they call our apparent distortions, meaning our personal blockages, and our absolute perfection, which is higher self. 5th and 4th density could be called worlds of mind and heart, again corresponding to 5th and 4th chakra. 5th chakra, as I said before, like 5th density, is associated with wisdom, clarity, light. Light, in this sense, being the essence of mind. Not necessarily the light of the photon or energy, but light is associated with clear knowing, the clear light of pure awareness, wisdom. 4th density is where Earth is going, worlds of heart, perfection of love, kindness, and group. And so that's what you see with, younger people, the indigo today, who are double-bodied, 4th density wanderers. They're really tight with their peers, you know. They may be sometimes getting into things that are harmful, like tattooing. I don't know if tattooing is really harmful, but, some kinds of negative action, like drugs, if you go too far, and the wrong types. But they're very close to their fellows. And that's because they're coming in with 4th density body activated, and they have a lot of love and compassion. And that's the new breed that Ra talks about. So then we get down below into 3rd dimensional life. This is veiled in the physical, not veiled in the non-physical, meaning after death or out of body, or in the near-death experience. Consciousness is not veiled. Now, this is the heart of our understanding for personal life. 3rd density is about self-consciousness, a sense of self. Animals don't have it, and higher dimensional beings don't have it in the same way either. They know that self is one with other self, with the creator and creation. They don't manifest it fully, meaning fourth density life is not as fully conscious and empowered as sixth density life, but they know unity. There's no veil. So third density is true personality or choice of path. That's the purpose of third density, is to choose which way the soul will evolve, with love or without love. So, this is the beginning of cosmic polarity. It's only a 75,000-year cycle. There are 3 opportunities for harvest during the cycle, each 25,000 years. This is a precession of the equinox, or our sun rotating around or being within the 12 constellations. I'm not sure why that would be a cosmic number, meaning in other galaxies or other third-dimensional planets in our galaxy, why a third density cycle would be 75,000 years. Would they have the same precession of moving around 12 constellations that surround their solar system? I don't know. But Ra seemed to indicate that 75,000 was a universal number. And this is really about choosing service to self or service to other, separation or unity. And they're both allowable. And the power of the law of one, or the power of creation, intelligent energy, accessed by 6th chakra, is available to those on both sides of the fence. So let me go through quickly the cosmic laws here and ET contact in the future, and then we'll go into the history. So this is a heavy download. So, cosmic laws, law of free will. Ra is the only source that calls this the law of confusion. It's very interesting because essentially all life is the one infinite creator. And time and space, more or less, change and evolution is also a distortion based on our limited awareness. So we believe we have free will, and we do, in time and space. But since this is ultimately the product of ignorance, meaning not being at one with the creation that we are, not being able to know and manifest our unity with all, this is confusion. So the law of free will is a law of confusion. And as Don once said in the Ra material, the law of confusion is working overtime on Earth today. And you see it heavily, heavily in the UFO, ET contact, channeling, New Age scene. And, you know, if I can do anything, it's to help people understand that there are qualities of information, meaning more or less accurate, more or less evolved perspective. And there's a pretty big difference between a clear 6th density source, in my opinion, like Ra. Not only Ra, there are others, okay. But a clear 6th density source is a whole lot different than a muddled 4th density source, heavily overlaid by the channel's own personal thinking, okay? And let alone one that's looking to make money and sell books. So, you know, quality is important. So then the second law I'm talking about is the law of service. Dual paths developing divine equipment. 7 energy centers. In my material, E stands for energy. R is an acronym for ray, or chakra. And D is an abbreviation for density or dimension, which is the same. There's just 2 different ways of looking at it. Okay. Good. So, let's go through. Negative contact, abduction, mutilation, terror, trauma, shock, pain. Yep, all the bad things. And they really are negative. I've met them many times. You don't want to be in close contact with 4D negative. They really are not nice. And I've met pure evil on Earth, and I've met pure evil above. And it's the real thing. And it's pure. Pure meaning there ain't no love there. I can't go into detail with it right now, but I could later. First we got to get through this. Orion is considered the source of the Federation, as well as Cassiopeia. There's Cassiopeian material, isn't there? That's interesting. Channeling from a lady named Laura. Well, Ra says that Southern Cross, Cassiopeia, and Orion constellations are the main sources of negative ET involvement on Earth today, being primarily 4D negative, those three sources, Southern Cross, Cassiopeia, and Orion. So whenever any channeling says, I'm from Orion, my ears perk up and my radar goes up, and I, quickly look for distortion. If not, that's wonderful. But, buyer beware. All right. So, Orion, reptoids, reptilians, Greys, Draconians, Men in Black, mutant 2D forms, the Robotoid Greys and the bosses of the Greys. These are all 4D negative. Generally, they're all 4D negative. They're almost all 4D negative because Ra said there are very few members of the Federation, the negative Orion Federation. There are very few members in 5D negative because, Ra says, they no longer find value in other selves. They no longer feel it's even worth dominating others because they realize that all power is available within the self. And so they no longer basically work with groups. It's all internal. And that's comparable to yogis who basically are not part of a sangha or a community anymore. I'm talking about the real ones. And they're just in their cave, or they're just working with their teacher. That's it. And that's enough for them to move to 7th density and out of the octave. Okay, well, I see both Renees online. Oh, you're back. Good. Okay. Positive contact. Positive contact, Ra indicates, is only done in terms of one-to-one between wanderers and Confederation sources, mainly in dream, out-of-body, and by thought. It's very rare that a wanderer has a positive contact where a UFO lands and gets out and says hello. Positive contact feels like inspiration, comes in dreams. It leads to spiritual awakening, and it's done mainly or only with ET souls, wanderers. Here are some sources. Andromeda, the Confederation of Planets of the Infinite Creator, which Ra says are about 53 planets and about 500 civilizations, which means 10 civilizations per planet. These are all 4, 5, and 6 density positive in our portion of the galaxy. Meaning this is our confederation related to this portion of the galaxy, not everywhere. And so there are many confederations. So it's a pretty big universe, as you know. Saturn, the rings of Saturn, when in the ring is what's called the Council of Saturn. And this is, I believe, what Uri Geller wrote about in with Puharich about the Council of Nine. So another place is Sirius. Sirius is 6 density positive, and many wanderers are from Sirius. Sirius, I believe, is the sister group or brother group of Ra. And Ra is from Venus. 6 density positive now, but they're not on Venus. Venus is now 5th density positive, and there's a contingent of wanderers on Earth that are from 5th density positive Venus. I've met some of them too, and they're very much of mind, clear mind, or maybe confused mind, but very bright. Arcturus and Pleiades. Pleiades is 4th density positive, as you can see by assessing the Billy Meyer material. So there we go, negative, and now we have positive. So it's balanced. So good. Erhard is putting down the information for Sixto Paz. Very, very useful. But again, how deep is the philosophy? Okay? You can spend a lot of time reading about this guy and that guy and the other person's contact and the details of their group. It's good to know. But you really should know your metaphysics. If you don't know your metaphysics, you're looking at this city and that city, but you got no map. And you don't even know what continent you're on. You don't know if it's underwater or in the air. So I do recommend study of metaphysics as well as you can to know, to develop your discernment. And so here we are, essentials of discernment. Point number 3, self-trust and empowerment, mind clarity. These are 5th chakra, 6th chakra conditions. So discernment is the province of wisdom and awareness of unity and self-faith. Trust yourself. And so that's why love without wisdom, or just being a nice person, or just the 4th density double-bodied children, the new tribe, the new breed, they don't necessarily know what's going on here. And lots of channeling is very poor in discernment, meaning they can't identify positive and negative very clearly, or they think positive and negative, there is no positive and negative, it's all in your mind. Well, it is all in your mind, but everything they say is also in their mind. But in time and space, there is the appearance of polarity. And if you don't know, then you'll get confused. So it is all in the mind, and it is all appearance and illusion, but you can be clear or you can be confused. So people get confused by mixing in absolute perspective in assessment of the relative truth. So yeah, it's all illusion, it's all in your mind, but it's the mind of the creator. And there is time and space, the appearance of time and space, and therefore the appearance of polarity. Therefore there's also the appearance of deception and trickery and mistaken understanding. And there's the appearance of honesty and truth and clear understanding. Okay? So, let me go through. Contact clues. If there's faith and respect and is support, it's positive contact. If there's a feeling of violation, fear, and confusion, it's negative contact. It's very simple. So if you read some source that says, oh, well, they don't understand human fear, it's just your problem, that's disinformation and a way of controlling you. ET agendas. Increasing light of love, meaning the clarity of love and wisdom, versus increasing lust for power, ego. Ego is a blockage. Ego is not solid either. But the negatively oriented humans and 4D negatives, and 5D negative, of course, have the lust for power, control, domination. And they lie always. Supporting soul evolution and harvest versus cosmic imperialism, and Ra calls them the Crusaders. So, Earth Harvest, 2010, 2012, 2013, end of 3rd density, and the end of choosing the path on Earth for 3D souls here, now. And then they can go to another 3D planet if they haven't made the choice. And Ra says harvestability, or the needed development of positive or negative, is 51% service to other, or 95% service to self. So most of the negatives who are doing their negative action here are going to repeat their density on another rock and continue with their negative action until they get to be 95% service to self, which they probably never will do. So if there's anybody surveilling this Skype group, you should know that you will probably never hit 95% service to self, which means you're going to stay in 3rd density for a very long time unless you change to the positive path. So it's up to you, but very, very, very few of the power elite here and negative types will graduate 40 negative. Very, very few. And so then we have 3-way split. Earth's 4D positive is the meek shall inherit the earth. Orion 4D negative is the destination of the very few service to self who are 95% pure in their service to self, which is very difficult. Ra talked about Genghis Khan, Rasputin, and Taras Bulba as 3 humans who achieved that previously, early to harvest, graduated early. You can see that they did a piece of work too. And then the majority is 3D repeaters. Earth in the future, when 3D resumes, or another 3D planet in the solar system, in the galaxy most likely. And meditation and path to higher self. Meditation is concentration. Leads to calm, leads to insight, meaning awareness of absolute and relative. Realization of suffering, freedom from suffering, and impermanence, understanding what impermanence is. Emptiness, the no-self nature of all appearance, that appearance is emptiness, but emptiness is also enlightenment. So appearance is a manifestation of enlightenment or freedom or all light, which means nirvana and samsara are one. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. It's called the Heart Sutra in Japanese, if you're interested. Very, very important. Fui shiki shiki sokoze ku ku. Right? Akemi knows that. So the Heart Sutra says form is emptiness, emptiness is form. It means that appearance of objects and self and other and positive and negative VT, all that appearance or form is ultimately emptiness or light or pure energy, which is no different than the one infinite creator's manifestation of light, which is enlightenment. So yeah, the Heart Sutra is really wonderful. Taras Bulba. Thank you, Derek. That's a wonderful link. There's actually a video about Taras Bulba. Very strange. He was a major player. So if you want to see what service to self looks like, look at the video of Taras Bulba. He was a real person. He was a real guy. I guess so. I mean, Ra seemed to indicate he was. All right. So that's the basic chart on cosmic plan. I hope you understand it all fully. It's heavy stuff. It's a backbone to our study. And again, please look at this and absorb it and try to grok it when you go from this and that to the other piece of channeled other material that you might like to read. When you read other stuff, please consider this. And especially polarity, honesty, truth versus deception, and maturity, meaning fourth dimension versus sixth dimensional source. And the more you understand, the clearer your light will be.